So a little while ago, Patrick Sterling made this video about how to make presets for macros with the switch node.
What I want to show off is over here in the inspector, where we have one button with 3 different presets that changes the color on all 3 of these elements in scene. And like a lot of things in Fusion, there are plenty of different ways I could have done this. This way uses no expressions and sort of leaves us with this node tree that maybe for some beginners can seem like a little complicated. But I think as we walk through, you'll see what every specific node does. And I like this as a basic effect for teaching some cool basic-ish stuff in Fusion.
I'm going to show you how to make that same thing, but with just a little bit of coding and less nodes. So if you're not too comfortable with coding, feel free to stick with Patrick's design. First, we need to actually get the setup similar to what Patrick had already. So let's put our preset down, but we don't need individual presets for every single color variation. We just need all of the shapes down once with their background nodes to change the colors on those nodes. So first, we just need to add a single background node to start, and let's make that alpha down to 0. Where that's just going to make it so that we have a nice transparent background. Now we can add a background node and merge it over our other background node. This is going to be our first shape. Let's make this the biggest one because this is closest to the background. So this is the most background of all the other shapes. And then we can just attach a rectangle node onto that and increase the border radius and then set our shape to whatever we want. And now copy these 2 nodes and literally you can paste them 2 more times or just do this again 2 more times. If you copy paste them 2 more times, you're gonna have some weird names and it may be annoying to do the coding later, so maybe don't do that. But you can just drag up the nodes from down there and it's really easy to keep building out this modular little setup. Now that we have our layout of all those nodes, all we have to do is add a single node that's going to control us actually changing the different presets. We don't need to add all these different nodes for the presets, just this one node will do. So we'll just add this single node and put it off to the side as pass-through, which basically means it tells Fusion not to render the node. And you know what? Let's actually just add an alpha divide node. This is just a simple node that has basically a settings page like every other node and is completely blank otherwise. It kind of does some things with like transparency if you put stuff into it, but you don't really have to worry about that. All we need this for is just adding controls onto, because it's basically creating your own node without needing to do any complicated coding. So we just need to right click on the node itself and select edit controls. We're gonna add a new control. We'll call it preset. If you start with a name, it'll just make an ID. Once you press tab, it's going to autofill presets for the ID. Now we can just come over here and find multi-button control. You may have to scroll down. But over here on the right side, you can just put in the names of the items and then make sure you press add after every single one. You can call it palette 1, 2, and 3, or give it special names if you want to, like red, blue, and then green, blue, maybe purple, blue, whatever you want to do. Make sure you put this to button and make sure you put this on name. You can also enable stretch if you want to and press OK. And then we're also going to add a big text box. We're going to make this about 20 lines. Give it whatever name you want, but I'm just going to call it preset script just so it's super easy for me to understand. I'm even going to go in and actually change some things about this just to make it even easier for us to look at in the Fusion page. So we just need to copy the alpha divide node and paste it into any text editor you want. I'm going to use VS Code because it's super easy and I'm familiar with it, but you can use whatever you want, like Notepad++. It's fun. So up here at the very top, we can see all the details about the node. So if we keep scrolling down, we're going to see a little bit of details about what the control values are set to, if there's any custom values set, and we're going to see your user controls. These are the things we just added on there. And we need to edit these now so that the text box has a few more special settings. I'm just going to copy and paste these from over off to the side because I know what these are and I know what they're going to do. And I don't really feel like typing them. But if you want to get these, they're going to be down in the description for you to easily copy and paste. And we just can see that this is simply saying no label, true, and then setting the language to Lua. There's not much of crazy stuff going on. It's literally that simple. And that's all we're going to change for right now. We do need to actually add the on change to the preset. We're not going to worry about that until we actually finish the script, because it's going to be a pretty easy add-on and it's able to be done inside of Resolve pretty simply. So all you need to do now is copy this out of your text editor, paste it back into Davinci Resolve, and that's a brand new node. Oh, don't forget to delete the old one. You don't want duplicates. It can cause weird issues. But now we can actually come in here and make this script. It's a really, really simple script. It's literally just an if-then statement and then a bunch of the same function copy and paste. It's not that hard. Since this text box does not have any idea on where it actually is besides in the Fusion comp, we need to tell it to get the actual control values off of the node. Now, if you do actually put this script directly on the controls on change value, which is new in Davinci Resolve 20, then you're able to use like the context of the node itself. But since we're in the text box, it doesn't acknowledge that context. We can start off by getting the value. So we can set local value, set that equal to, we can just get the name of this node. In our case, it's just called alpha divide 1, but we want to make this maybe more custom node. So maybe the user wants to add an alpha divide node to the comp, whatever later. We can just press F2 and that'll let us change our name to, let's just say controls, to make it super easy and clear. So now up here, all we have to do is type in controls as the ID of the node and then do a function. In Lua, a function is called with a colon, and we're going to do the get input function. And we'll actually be doing the opposite of this function later. So all we have to do is just set in here the string of the ID of the control that we want to get the input of. That may be confusing, but it's literally just put quotation marks around what you see when you hover over the control in the bottom left of your screen. So with all together now, look in the bottom left of your screen and we can see controls.presets. Presets is the ID of the control you're hovering over. This is what we put in these quotation marks. And it's the same thing as the name, but if we look at the background node, if we look at the red, it's not the same as the name. So make sure you check because it's always going to be a little bit weird. And sometimes, for example, you may see something that looks like a control, but this isn't actually a control. This belongs to these four. After we're done putting all of this stuff into this text box, we're gonna then put a function in the control, this multi-button control, that will activate this text box as code every time the user changes the button. It's really nice to use this because now you don't have to use expressions to constantly be checking every frame and taking up all of your rendering. If you've never used Fusion before, but you use presets, you need to notice that they're pretty laggy. Most of the time it's because they use a lot of expressions. Expressions are very slow. This only happens when the user changes the button. So it makes it so that all of those expressions that would usually, like sometimes you'd have to have expressions checking the multi-button control every frame to see what it was set to. Like you have to link them together kind of, and that would really slow things down if you wanted to do the same setup I'm saying, not like what Patrick did, but the same simplified setup you'd have to use expressions for. This makes it so much easier and really simplifies the node flow. Anyway, back to what we're doing. Now that we have the actual value that that control is set to, all we need to do, and I'm sure you've already guessed it, is set up the if then statement to say, okay, is this value set to whatever number that the actual control is set to, then do this thing. And since we have 3 presets, we need 3 if then statements. So all we need to do is if the value is set to 0, in our case, do all of these set input functions or do whatever else you need to do. Now just put in the name of the node that you want to get, just like we did up here. So we want background 2. Background 2, do the function of set input. And just like before, put in the ID of the control that you actually want to change, which we just looked at it and it's top left red and down to alpha. But these may be different for you. It's whatever you want to really change for your preset. And this could be a number of different functions, ranging from changing control values to adding nodes to a comp, to disconnecting nodes and moving nodes around in the comp, and doing a lot more. So you can really get pretty detailed and fun with what you can do with this. Now after the ID, just add a comma and whatever value you want it to be set to. In our case, we want these presets to be fully black, somewhere in the grayish area, all these kind of set to maybe these values-ish. And then palette 3 being fully white, for example. So for this, all we have to do is set it to 0. And then copy this 3 more times. And for alpha, we're gonna set this actually to 1 so that we can make sure that it is actually fully visible because we don't want it to be accidentally set to 0 or some other value. We want our presets to always be consistent when they change what the user sees. And on that note, let's look back at the background node. And if we look, the user also may have the option, if you give them it, to change the type, which is actually gonna change how it looks for the user. We can see now this uses the gradient. So we want to also change type back to this solid color. And when we do this and test this, we may notice an issue with Fusion nodes sometimes when made by Davinci. If it's made by the Fusion page in built-in Fusion nodes, sometimes if it's a control like this, we might get a string that needs changed, or we might get 0 to the number that needs changed. It's kind of however it was coded and who coded it, I'm not really sure. It's kind of inconsistent from what I can tell, but maybe they can shed some light in the comments. All we have to do, if we looked in the bottom left when looking at this control, it has the ID of type. So we just need to change top left red right here to type. And we want this to be 0 because we're assuming that it goes 0 to the last number, not using the strings, however it might. So we need to pay attention to that and see if we get an error in the future. But now all we have to do for this preset is copy 1, press enter a couple of times and paste, and change the 2 to a 3, and copy again, enter a couple of times and change the 3 to a 4. And that is the first preset fully set up for all of our nodes. It is literally just that. Now we just have to copy all of this, come down below before the end and type in else if, all one word, value is equal to 1 now, which is now palette 2, then we can set all of these back in here. So once again, once you're in here, press paste, and now we can change all of these values to whatever we want. Go down to the bottom, press enter, do else if, and we can do value equals 2. You don't have to do this since this is the only other palette we have on here. You can also just do else with no then after this. Just do else, paste this in, and then we can change all these values to 1 now. Great. Now we have all of this set up how we imagine. All we need to do now is get this to activate this. So whenever the user changes this, this will run and change what they see up here. And this is a single function on this control that needs to be added. And it's really, really easy. Right click on the controls node, go to edit controls, and click the drop down on IDs and go down to the bottom and find your presets multi-button control. Go down to on change, and in this section, we're gonna put fusion, execute, and then in parentheses, we're gonna put the value of this. And if you are looking up here, you may have an idea how we may do that. We just need to do controls, get input. And then this time we're gonna do presets script. And then do another parenthesis after that. But then you should be good. If you just press the button, it will change the values. And if we look, we can see that we put in this wrong because we set this to 0 and there is no 0. But what we need to do instead is actually put in the string of whatever we want to change this to. So we want this to be solid color. So we need to put in the string in here of solid color with the space and everything. A bunch of trial and error later, I finally discovered my issue. Let's first actually run this with the print function running here. We can actually see what the output currently is of type when we set this to solid color. When we run palette 1, we can see the output is solid, which means if you're still not following, all of these need to be set to solid, not solid color, not 0, solid. Now, is that just because there's a space and they didn't account for the space when they made that like an ID? Maybe, but that's still very confusing. We can set all of these to the string of solid. Now that we've updated all of these, if we click any of these palettes, we're gonna see all of them are changing how we imagine. Now, we didn't actually set this up how we wanted, so we're gonna set this up right now. We have our palettes properly swapping between each other without any additional lag. Really, really nice. Now, once you've set this up, you can add any other custom controls onto this, like labels for the backgrounds if you want to. And then all you need to do to make this a macro is select all these in the order that you want the controls to show up in. So we'll select our controls node first to get our presets and to get our nests showing up first. And then select all the nodes in order, so 2, and then 3, and then 4. We can go into the macro editor and add our controls. We can't add the nest, so we have to do some editing afterwards, but watch some of my other videos. I can go into more detail about that, but I'm assuming that you already know a little bit about how to make macros itself after watching Patrick's video. So why not go watch his video to learn more about macros and other preset options. But okay, I'll see y'all next time. Happy animating. If you are still here, I appreciate you being here, but I do, want to give you a small little update before we go, because I do have a bit of news and some apologies for not posting, because obviously I meant to post, I meant to continue posting a lot, but then I got really busy with snap captions and life updates that I'll be going into. That's been bogging me down. But snap captions is doing a lot, and I've been working on it pretty frequently. Like, I work from noon until 10, 3 days a week for that. And then I work my other job outside of that a lot. And then I basically have the weekends that I do other things. But then recently I've also been having issues with breathing through my nose because, well, I'll talk about that in a second, but I've been just having like breathing issues. So I've been bogging down from that. So it's, when you can't breathe, it's hard. And when you don't breathe naturally through your mouth, your nose wants to always be the main, breathing tube. Plus, you should be breathing through your nose anyway. It's healthier. It's better for you. Only really breathe through your nose if only really breathe through your mouth if you need more air. But basically, they found something in one of my nose cavities. I know what it is, but I don't want to like make it all disturbing and stuff in a video for all you guys. I might go into more detail about this in like a second channel video, or on a live stream that I plan on doing on the second channel. Go check that out down below if you're curious. But I'm going to be doing I'm going to go get a procedure done in probably about a week from when you're seeing this video. So wish me luck down in the comments. But yeah, I plan on going and getting that done, and it's going to be just a few checkups like once a week afterwards to, make sure it's all cleared out, basically. But once that's done, I should be breathing better and I should be a little more high energy. The video I made a while ago about my 1,000 subscriber special, honestly, actually, thank you guys for 2,000. I didn't ever mention this before. Thank you all for 2,000. You guys are awesome, and I hope we get to 5,000 soon, because that's the next milestone. If we do get to 5,000, I do plan on doing something cool. But moving on from that, a little side tangent, thank you all so much for sticking with me and coming back whenever I post. You guys are awesome, and everybody who's finding my channel since I have not been posting, thank you, and welcome to the channel. We have lots of cool stuff going on, and I'm making a lot more updates to the tools that I have. The new macro creator is going to get some updates. I won't go into any details about that because there's going to be a long wait for that, unfortunately. There's a lot of plans for this. It is going to be a huge change. It's basically a whole rewrite from the ground up in a whole new language. So look forward to that. It's going to be really cool. And I've learned a lot since then, so it's going to be way easier to use. It's going to be a lot more user-friendly and way cooler to use. People are going to enjoy it and learn stuff and make macros even easier with that. And all my other tools, all throughout probably this year going on to next year and maybe a couple of years after that, all of them are going to get updates. I can't say when or how long or how big, but they're all going to get updates, and they're all going to get like probably overhauls, make them look better, feel better, fix any bugs that you guys have found. I appreciate you guys coming into my Discord and like using my forums. It's been awesome seeing you guys coming in and like reporting bugs and stuff. I'll be getting to everything soon. I just haven't been able to like work on that because I've been working on snap captions. If you don't know what that is, go check out Orson Lord's channel. He talks about snap captions over there. I'll probably be doing a few videos about the templates and stuff over here. Maybe even talking about some of the coding stuff with snap captions. I can't go too much into detail because of secrecy, and like we want to keep things quiet about it just so that we don't have copycats trying to take our code and stuff. You know, people are not nice in industries sometimes, and I don't think it's like the majority. It's just a few bad actors, and you just got to be cautious about it. That's all that we're doing. That's why it's so under wraps, and why there's so much encryption, and why you can't read the code and snap captions. That's all the life updates and all that stuff from me. I plan on, once again, doing a lot more videos and stuff. Cool stuff in the future. Plus the new 20 update, like the new Resolve 20 update, had a lot of cool stuff going for it. So I can't wait to dig into all of that in more detail and like learn more about it. I've already done videos about some of the features, like the new, about the new subtitling system and the new subtitle caption systems and all that stuff. So go check that video out. I plan on looking more into that. I saw a question on the Davinci Resolve Discord about someone asking about accessing the fusion comps in those. Genuinely, I've never looked into that, so I will look into that and let you know. But it wasn't on my Discord for clarification. It was on Jake Whip's Discord for Davinci Resolve. But all right, catch y'all next time. Happy scripting.